Here are the writing tips you need to learn how to write tyrants the right way and how to make your readers hate your characters without hating your story. What is up, you muffin munching muggles? Welcome to Fiction and Reality, where we help you, yes, you become the most devilishly gifted human that you know you are and that you knew you always could be. Ever wondered how to make your readers hate a character through tyranny? Wanting to go fisticuffs with them, no holds bar with them, no jelly, no grease. Let's start peeling back the layers by first exploring what a tyrant is.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
A tyrant seeks the highest mountain, the highest cliff they can climb, and looks down upon their men. Tyrant weaponizes virtue and all the sweet sprinklings of a goddess to make you feel like a worm snaking through the soil, and will keep you entrapped in her gaze until you acclaim against your will that you have done something wrong, from questioning authoritative action enacted without reason or counsel with the ones below them. Your goal should be, at the very least, to capture this through a consistent trend of characters' actions and bouts with conflict, which can be both internal or external. The tyrant is not necessarily incapable of showing any inklings of compassion or dancing in tandem with any spirits of human emotion, because they themselves, at their very core, are still human. However, a tyrant is unable to hold the mirror to their face and accept any and every infringement upon the perfect persona that they've sculpted and created for themselves. For if there is conflict, then they cannot be to blame, and the ones they govern or claim to be leading must shoulder the responsibility for any infarction, regardless of if the decisions they made caused the foundation to crumble in the first place. The tyrant within my story, whose name I will not give, who vehemently claims to himself and the scars below him that he is not a king, yet he does so while sitting atop a throne of thorns, absolving himself from the responsibility of a leader, all while maintaining the reins on power. We'll delve into the type of tyrants later, but first, understand that having a definition of what a tyrant is extremely imperative for understanding the reasoning behind each and every decision they make, their aptitude to displace reason with power, and the fact that at their core they are still human and tend to weaponize compassion and manipulate the minds of men, rather than wield it in good faith. So what is the best way to hate a tyrant? You know, the way you hate that mushy smack of mayo. The way your skin curls after hearing the words horseradish. Is it made out of horses or radishes? Someone answer me. Well, in short, keep your readers ignorant of what made them tyrannical in the first place. The best way to get your reader to hate a tyrant is to, of course, focus on their present actions and all the authoritative decisions they've currently made. That is to say, to cast a black veil over their past. Focus your reader on the part of the character that would stir a caustic pot of thoughts and emotions. Crux of human nature is to hate or fear what we don't understand until more pages have been scribbled in and we've accrued the knowledge we need to draw a definite conclusion about who we believe an individual truly is. Just like the tyrant in my story, who through persistent incongruencies between his words and actions sows destruction throughout Barren Valley, all while recusing himself of responsibility, from willfully excavating fragments of the population for not bending the knee under his rule, to weaponizing ancient weapons that are held sacred to the natives, all to chase a drunken fate or a fable he believes will revert destiny to his own liking. The unequal application of postulates and laws they swear to adhere by, the absence of obligation to take counsel with the people they govern, and the compassionate narcissism used to justify their actions through the weaponization of false bravado and false virtue. These are the acts, if you have drawn the curtain of their past aside for now, that will make your reader hate your tyrant at any given moment in your story. However, the road to helping your reader understand your tyrant is entirely different. You need to know how their perspectives were shaped and what feared them on this course. How perspectives were shaped. It's not you. It's not me. It is you. Our experiences in relationship with our environment at a ripe young age and the extremely impressionable state of youth have a great impact on the way our scope of view of the world develops. Let's say your character grew up living in an authoritative state where the laws of the overbearing power were governed by whatever words that spilled out of their mouths and attuned to their greatest desires. And having to endure that, the greatest pursuit throughout one's life would be freedom, and in some instance to model the projections of freedom you have been presented with, which in fact would be tyranny. Or even more dangerous perhaps, is the tyrannical desire that's ignited by being constantly admonished and embracing the longing to stand atop the ones hailing down on you with the gilded hammer, fearing ever being placed in a position of submission ever again. The greatest source of tyranny, as with my main character, is the loss of something precious due to an overwhelming sense of powerlessness, regardless of whether that loss was because of them or not. The inability to shake the guilt for having arms too timid, to brave a sword without toppling over, or swallow fear in the heat of gilded devils with golden wings. It is that guilt that morphs and controls, that casts a mold like a symbiote.
I'm biting the fart bubbles in the bath. We smoking symbiotes.
They cling to them like a throbbing tumor, warbling without the bitterness of and fear of having to stand before the past once more. There can be no one standing higher than them, even if they sit atop a throne of thorns while claiming that they are no king and that they swear they make every decision with their people in mind. And what decides the decisions they make is the dendritic branching of their minds, which defines what type of tyrant they truly are. The first type we'll start with is the compassionate narcissist. Who is the tyrannical compassionate narcissist? A compassionate tyrant is someone who cares for others just to make themselves look better, and has convinced themselves in their heart of hearts that every last one of their actions is for the benefit of the ones that they govern. Compassionate narcissist primarily cares about their own needs and no one else's. Every decision they make, every action they take, they swear were made from a place of self-sacrifice, and that they are vigilant and graceful angels or gods willing to sacrifice themselves for their people. The main villain of my story takes on this role, claiming that he is not a king, yet willingly looks for the highest throne of thorns to sit upon. In reality, the motive is to recuse themselves of responsibility for their actions, for their pitfalls, for the decisions they make, all while maintaining the highest degree of influence over those that they govern. The compassionate tyrant can feign empathy and perhaps is the most dangerous, as their men are willing to veer the course in whatever direction they are ordered, for wanting and believing that they are loved by the one sending them to their deaths. They'll clamp you in a caustic and septic embrace, locking tighter and tighter, but won't let you go until you've claimed against your will that you have done something wrong to place them on a lower rung. Their eyes will be warm, their voice will be soft, and every trough, every crack in their own decision making, and every double standard, the honey-sweet tone in which they speak to your character, will be like that of a sly fox, willing to swive your gems as soon as you turn your back. You want to take your villain or tyrant to the next level? Then this is just one of the many archetypes that you must take advantage of. The Authoritarian.
But we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
While the compassionate tyrant will feign empathy and love for those that they rule over, the authoritarian tyrant respects power and only power, and moreover a complete and devout undying loyalty to their cause. No one must question their words or the logic of their actions, and if they dare to open their mouths, they risk themselves being hung at the gallows, blistered by bullets by a firing squad simply for questioning authority. These tyrants have no desire to mask their ambitions or motivations behind false virtue. They are, in my opinion, the rawest form of impotence, and warriors who fight solely to keep themselves atop the hierarchical totem pole. The ones that govern in instances may be no different than pigs sludging around in the mud, awaiting slaughter if they step out of place. The characters in your story, if you were to take on this archetype, tend to be null or void of compassion. However, as I stated, are willing to throw a bone at those who are most loyal to their cause. There are other characters in my novel who adopt this archetype, having decided that the world is their garden to govern. With snakes hissing in his head, he looks down from his vines on plains of a flush grass and blooming flowers as if their destiny or fate is worthless, as they, along with their roots, are all fated to wither and rot in the soil. All calls against his justice become voices upon which he labels hypocrisy, voices which he deafens under the weight of his briared branches. You see, the authoritarian is only as black and white as you make them. Tyrant can be, in some instances, chaliced by his people without fear if they have been convinced somehow that they have become enslaved to an unequal postulate of justice. Then all the laws, all the morals of the human condition are exempted by the people under the guise of a just cause. The mantra of the authoritarian: convince a man that he's fighting for his freedom and sovereignty, and all the kindling embers of morality and virtue are renounced. The authoritarian tyrant is not sustained by sheer force alone, but by the illusions they weave, illusions that turn oppression into duty, subjugation into justice. Their rule thrives not because it's righteous, but because it is unquestioned. Their power is cemented by the blind loyalty of those who have forsaken morality for the promise of order. This temperament differentiates itself from the deniability devil. Now, what exactly is a deniability devil, you ask? I didn't mean to do it, man. That's not mine, bro. That's not my blow. The Deniability Devil is a tyrant who claims no responsibility or accountability for their actions, even when they find their kingdom being toppled right before their eyes. It's not a question of being compassionate or authoritative, but simply recusing the responsibility of their roles whenever the swords are drawn in the mouths of their people scream tyrant. All this while maintaining their status of power and their hierarchical position on the social totem pole. They see those that they govern as yipping dogs, growling and barking for a bone. When the characters arrive at my tyrant's domicile in the flush of Barren Valley and see him perched atop his throne of thorns, it's merely only moments before they find him descending the stairs and meeting them eye to eye as he claims, "I did not wish to sit so high above you." They'll deny that their people are left scarfing down dirt and sand because their palace is blustering with meat and greens. They'll deny the responsibility of soldiers to skewer those who do not fall promptly in line and know their place. They'll deny even that they are the leader of their people and are more comfortable addressing themselves as a specter of some sort. The Deniability Devil is not just a tyrant, but a paradox, one who wields power without ever claiming it, who commands without ever acknowledging their authority. Even as their kingdom crumbles and their people rise in defiance, they shroud themselves in the illusion of detachment, refusing to bear their weight of their own rule. Yet, in their desperate denials, their tyranny is laid bare. When the veil of deception is torn away and they are forced to meet their challengers face to face, their carefully crafted guise fractures. No longer a distant specter, but a ruler exposed. Now for the next matter at hand, choosing a devil. Now that you know how each tyrant rallies their power and views their people, how do you actually decide which tyrant they'll be? I could see the gears spinning in your head right now, that pendulum of the bell tower clanking back and forth, and echoing in the back of your head. The words, leave a like. If you're enjoying the video right now, go ahead and leave a like to show some love. Honestly, the choice of which tyrant you choose is entirely up to you, and in fact, you may combine or incorporate components from all of these archetypes to thread towards the more perfect ideal prefecture of what you want your tyrant or villain to become. The choice to make them mutually exclusive or not is entirely up to you, however. Also, always keep in mind that tyrants may or may not sympathize with the reader's paradigm or pattern of perspective, depending on how much information you choose to give away about why they are the way they are now. If you want to write one that's worthwhile, do not completely ignore the humanistic side of them. Show us why they are the way that they are. Show us how they govern their people. Show us the decisions they make and actions they take, and explain why. Two halves don't make a whole, so ensure that you are taking your time to flesh out the non-tyrannical aspects of your character as well, heaving the more forgiving elements throughout your story if you must. If you took something from this video, I want you to take a moment to crack that subscribe button below and like the video. Like the video. It pushes these videos out so that others can take these key tokens that you've gained. So do your fellow comrades a favor. Once again, thank you for 200 subscribers. Our community is growing faster than I thought it would, and I'm glad to see you all becoming more active in the comments. Don't forget, you're welcome to suggest any video idea that might help you get where you need to go in your own writing journey. I will leave a link to my socials in the description below. Also, if you're looking for more videos to help improve your writing, then, well, click right here. With that, remember, if ever you're lost in a forestry of words, strip your mind from fantasy and look to the window of the world, and there your mind will run free.